I got much more interested in reproduction. So after I got my PhD, then I went to and did a postdoc at University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. So I lived in Philadelphia for 6 years, which is a big city with really angry road rage people sometimes. and I worked in a center for research on reproduction and women's health and studied causes of female infertility. And it was a really cool setup because it had people who were basic scientists and then people who were clinicians. And so it was very bench to bedside. And that's sort of how I ended up in an animal science department, because we have people doing really very translational research. So instead of bench to bedside, it's bench to ranch more, but still that same paradigm. And so yeah, 10 years ago I started working here, and it's flown by, flown by. So yeah, that's one great thing about this job, is that I've been lots of places. I have lots of friends spread out across the country that I've worked with either directly or we've collaborated or things like that. And so it's been really awesome.
How would you describe your job now? Like, what do you do?
What do I do all day? I watch TV in my office. Except for that 1 hour that I have to go lecture. No, I spend most of my day reading and writing and problem solving. Somebody just asked me this yesterday, somebody at church. So I spend a lot of time troubleshooting. So students are having trouble with something in the lab, something's not working. What's the next step? What should we do? So we have defined hypotheses, and we have different experiments that we're going to do to try to test that hypothesis. Sometimes the experiments aren't working. Sometimes the experiments are giving us answers that we didn't expect. And so we have to have flexibility. We have to be able to shift if it's unexpected results. And we have to be able to make changes to the way we're doing something if the experiment itself is not working properly, if the controls aren't controlling, if we aren't seeing success in the way we're running the experiment, we have to make changes. And so I spent 12 years learning how to do experiments, and I don't do any experiments at all on my own anymore, but I have a lot of experience. And so as students are having trouble learning how to, or working through their experiments, I give them feedback. And so we do a lot of that. I read a lot because I'm trying to see what else is in the literature, what other people have already done or might be working on. And that helps us to refine our hypotheses and then see how our data fits into that larger picture of what's being done in the field. But in addition to reading literature related to my topic, anytime we want to publish, it has to be peer reviewed. And so sometimes I'm that peer. So a journal will contact me and ask me to peer review a journal. Sometimes I'm reviewing grants. So grant agencies will ask you to help them review, or the internal grant funding opportunities exist will ask us to review grants, and so I do some of that. I'm sometimes reading a thesis or a dissertation from a graduate student, or we're writing because we're trying to write grants to bring in more funding for our research, or we're writing manuscripts. So we are writing up the results from the experiments that we've done, and so that we can disseminate that out. Sometimes we're putting together presentations. So like I just got back from a meeting where I gave a talk. So somebody invited me to come and talk about our research. And so put together either posters or PowerPoint presentations and share our work. So the great thing about science, or maybe not the great thing about science, depending on who you talk to, is that it's not just ours to keep, but we want to tell people about it. And so we do that written, we do that orally, and so we spend a lot of time doing those things. So that's 70% of my job, and then the other 30% is teaching. And so I teach a advanced physiology course that is physiology of animal cells and tissues. So again, more molecular and cellular physiology. It would be coming after you take 240 or 340, depending on which option you're in. So yeah, it takes that, which is more systems level, and we kind of dive down into the cell to see what's going on at the level of the cell. And that's really important because all of our drugs are impacting the way the cell's physiology works. So pain, there are lots of things that are going to interrupt the way receptors are working that tell your neurons how to communicate with each other to say that you have pain. And so, all of that's really working at the cellular level, and understanding that's really important for understanding some of the pharmacology that we have and things like that. And then I coordinate the research experiences, so the experiential learning, 395D, which is the research experience, and then the 499H, which is the honors thesis course. And so that's just kind of pairing people up. So if you're, as you're starting to think about research experiences, I'm the gal to come see about getting your permission code. But if you aren't sure who to contact as far as, who could I work with, I can kind of help set up some interactions with people for that too. And then last year I helped Dr. Brink with anatomy and physiology.
Okay.
And did some case studies for that class. So I just came in and did some case study work for that. But, yeah.
If we were looking to get like an off-campus internship or job, would you be able to help us with that? And in what area would that be?
Yeah, so maybe I am not your first choice for that one. I have known a couple people that have done some internships at places like GeneSeek or Zoetis or things like that, and but I am not a good hookup for that. I mean, I know that they exist, but I haven't done a lot of helping people set those up.
I didn't know if you had like off-campus connections or not.
Do I have off-campus? I do, but they don't exist in Nebraska. So,
Makes sense.
like, if you're interested in graduate school, I have plenty of people that I can send you to for graduate work, because it's good to like leave here and go somewhere else to do your graduate degree. And so, yeah, I have those connections more than industry connections. Yeah.
Gotcha. So what advice do you have for us as like we go like become a senior and like head out into what we want to do?
Well, okay.
What kind of experience should we get?
So I am a professor, and I want you to always go to class, and I want you to always study for your tests, and put the work in that you need to put in. But I think that college is a great time to figure out who you are and what you're passionate about and what you really want to be. And so to do that, you have to do other stuff. Be in clubs, go to a play, go to a football game, go to a basketball game, because really basketball is super awesome. Again, I'm a Hoosier, so we love basketball. Go do things. Find your people. Those people, like the people that I went to college with are the people that I am still connected to much more than my high school friends. And not that there's anything wrong with your high school friends, but you find your people, you're the group that has that same passion and fire that you have. And I think as you go through this 4-year period, you have to figure out, this is what I love. Because jobs are hard. Like the real world can be really tough, right? There's things about my job that I find tedious or, stressful and annoying or whatever, but man, I love it. I love my job because I get excited about figuring out where babies come from. And how do we make them healthy, and how does that happen? Like you have two cells that have nothing, they're super differentiated, they're really specific, they fuse together and bang, all of a sudden you have this really highly undifferentiated cell that can become any tissue or cell. It's amazing. It's totally amazing. What's even more amazing is it works right, like the majority of the time. Totally blows me away. So I want to understand how that process happens, and I want to see how things that we encounter in our environment are impacting that. And I think that's the coolest thing ever. And so that's my passion. That's not necessarily your passion, and that's fine because it's mine. So, but find that thing, because then work, even though it's work, is something you enjoy going to do. And when you have to work a 60-hour or a 70-hour week, it doesn't seem so bad because it's something you really enjoy doing and you take great pleasure and pride out of it. Yeah, I'm a huge Cubs fan, and so I'm super happy right now. And I love our manager. And so he has these great Maddonisms. But pleasure in the process is one of the things he talks about. It's not about winning. It is great to win, and I'm super happy that they won. But it was a fabulous process from beginning to end, And they had all these great moments, littered in between. And so there's going to be hard things that occur during this 4-year period. OChem may not be the greatest thing you ever experienced. You may have a semester where it seems like everything that can go wrong does go wrong. You're sick, something bad happens at home. There's going to be things that happen that aren't fabulous. But if you take, maybe you won't win that award. Maybe you won't get that internship that you really wanted. But it all together, there's going to be pleasure in the process, and you're going to find those things that make it really worthwhile. And those some collections of things that you do are going to make you the person that stands out when you're standing there with your resume trying to get a job, right? And the networking that you do, the people that you interact with are going to help define who you are so that you can stand out. And I think that is super important, because they're going to get, if you're applying to vet school, they're going to get, 400 applications. They're all going to say, I love animals and I want to help them be happy, healthy little beings, right? Like, that's great. That might be, but what if your passion is shelter medicine or helping producers be more productive? What is it specifically that's going to help you stand out and shine? And that's what you want to accumulate over these 4 years. So get to know your instructors, and that's why Dr. Brink is making you do this, right? Don't be afraid to talk to them. I would say 99.9% of the people on this campus want you to be successful in their classes, and if you're struggling in a class, they want you to come and talk to them and figure out ways that you can do better. And so don't be afraid to do that. Work at that part of it too. And I don't really remember what the beginning of the question is. You have to stop me because I just rambled.
Oh, it was just your advice for us.
Ramble on, but
no,
I think that it's those are the things that are going to make you the person that people are going to want to hire, or pick for grad school, or pick for professional school, or whatever path you decide to go down. So, yeah, and get a little uncomfortable every once in a while. Do something that you're like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna like that. Mm-hmm. And you might get into it and you'll be like, yeah, I totally did not like that. But you might surprise yourself, because you might think, I always wanted to be an OBGYN. I am not an OBGYN because I don't like people. they make me a little uncomfortable, and I get rambly, and I really hate it when you tell them to do something because I have all of this experience and I know you should do this, and then they don't do it, and I'm like, why are you wasting my time? So I would make a horrible clinician, but it took me a while to figure that out, right? Yeah. And so just because you think and you've thought for however long, this is what I'm supposed to do, because this is what I know at the ripe old age of 17 or 18 or whatever you might be, you're going to hit these experiences and it might change that direction. Don't be afraid to let it change the direction. If you're like, yeah, I don't think that's really what I want to do. What I really want to do is this over here. Don't think because, well, but that'll disappoint my parents, or I told 12 people that this is what I was going to do and so now I have to do it, or, feel that flexibility and that ability to make those shifts if that's something you decide, oh, this is where my heart is. This is what I really want.
Awesome.
So there's my life, my lifelong advice for you.
Oh, that's good.
Be careful what you ask for. I will just tell you.
Is there anything else?
I don't think so. I think she covered about all of it.
I just start talking and then, cool. Awesome.
No, but thank you for your time.